Okay, here we go. Welcome to the lesson on adaptation. Adaptation. Now, really, there's two separate uses of the word. And in this case, I'm going to tend to use one more than the other. One, adaptation is when living things over time change to adapt to their environment. Okay, now we're not talking about an individual living thing changing, but the species itself after a period of generations. And we're going to get to that through the process of natural selection. That's going to be coming up pretty soon. But the second meaning isn't the process of getting to where it matches the environment, but it's used in terms of an organism has a particular adaptation to that environment, where it fits in with its environment to help it survive and has a lot of physical traits that help it out. I mean, you could do a whole lesson on adaptations humans have. I mean, human adaptations would be like we got opposable thumbs that we can, grab things, and then we walk around bipedally on 2 feet. That frees our hands to be able to use tools, and we have a brain that's capable of imagining things that don't exist, which gives us creativity and inventiveness, and we have language to be able to communicate. Blah, blah. Okay. Anyway, there's I would say behavioral adaptations also, especially working cooperatively within a society, that huge adaptations for humans. But we aren't talking specifically about humans. Let's talk about natural animals, right? Animals in the wild that are adapted to their environment. Again, I don't want you to picture like domesticated animals, like, dogs and cats and cows and stuff. I want you to picture things like, I don't know, leopards and sparrows and, elm trees that are adapted to their environment. And so one really good example of adaptation is something we've already talked about already a little bit is camouflage. And if you could, we're going to mostly use camouflage as an example. But can you see the animal? Okay, right? Is the adaptation is the title of the lesson. Can you see the animal in this picture? I want you to look and try to find it. That's going to be a big piece of what's coming up in this lesson is looking at the pictures and trying to find the animals there. Well, look, there's a bird right down here. It's really hard to see. And that might be an adaptation to that environment, right? So let's say, I don't know, some predator bird like a hawk or something flying over might not see it very well when it's in the leaf litter. It's adapted to that environment. But if it was in a whole different environment, it might not, be camouflaged very well, which is why I like camouflage as an example. Okay, so here's the writing part. Okay, well, I could have had you write stuff as we go along. I thought about it, but I figured let's just get the writing out of the way. So get your pencil and paper ready to take the notes, write this stuff down, okay? So here's all the writing you have to do, at least in this part of the lesson, so don't be worried like, oh, there's so much. There's a little bit. Okay, here we go. The wall of text. Living things are adapted to survive in their particular environment. That is key. They are adapted to that environment. An adaptation is an inherited trait that helps the organism survive. That's the underlined part, so that's the definition. It's an inherited trait that it has like an inherited trait would be like, say, the horns on a buffalo, or say, the wings on a bird or something of that sort. A physical inherited trait is how we're going to think of it. And then here's the key thing that's going to be what we're going to go over in the next couple of weeks. The better adapted a living thing is, the better its chances to survive, right? To reproduce, that is to have babies, and to pass its traits to the next generation. This is a key idea here in understanding how nature works, how biology works. That the things that fit in with their environment will survive long enough to be able to have babies and pass their physical traits on to the next generations. And the ones that fit the environment best are the ones that are going to be able to pass those traits on. The ones that aren't adapted to the environment are going to get eaten or die or whatever and won't be able to pass them on. And so their traits will tend to die out. The ones that survive are the ones that fit the environment adapted to it. So, if you were listening and waiting for me to quit talking before you wrote it down, go ahead and forget this, click the add text. Oh, rats. It's just part of the problem when I am doing the slideshow in this method. So anyway, you don't have to click to add text, okay? If you're not finished writing this down, then pause the video, finish writing it down, and then we'll go on.